Let's look specifically at what Jesus said about the destruction of Jerusalem. Did he speak about it in terms of wrath? Divine withdrawal, enemy comes in. Yes. But the language he will use is far more heart-wrenching than anything we have in the Old Testament. You will see the heart of God here that we didn't see in the Old Testament. Yes, in the ancient Hebrew view, there were certain principles and steps for the wrath of God, and yes, it will follow suit with Jesus, but he will never say that the Romans came in with divine consent and permission. Listen for the heart of Jesus as he explains the wrath of God in 70 AD. Luke 21:20, English Standard Version. Jesus is speaking. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, 70 AD Rome, then know that its desolation has come near. Why would Jerusalem be desolated by surrounding armies? That's because they rejected Jesus and turned over to the devil. Jesus will refer to this event in the same chapter in verse 23 as wrath. The surrounding armies as wrath. Luke 21:23 in Evangelical Heritage Version. How terrible it will be for those who are pregnant and nursing infants in those days when Jerusalem is surrounded by armies. How terrible it will be for those who are pregnant and nursing infants when the armies of Rome surround your city. For there will be great distress in the land and wrath against this people. The surrounding by the Roman armies of Jerusalem is wrath. The blueprint of Deuteronomy 31 is being realized point for point. Does Jesus connect the surrounding armies with statements of divine anger, violence, aggression, attack, or weeping withdrawal? It's now withdrawal, but God will weep. Jesus will weep as God reluctantly pulls back on protecting Israel. But they didn't want him anymore. They showed that by rejecting Jesus and planning to kill him. Look at the way Jesus speaks about the destruction of Jerusalem in Luke 19. Listen for the pain. Listen for the lament. Luke 19:41-44, English Standard Version. Jesus is approaching the cross now, yeah? He sees Jerusalem as he walks towards it. And when he drew near and saw the city, he wept over it. Divine wrath is divine weeping withdrawal. Jesus only ever wept twice. When Lazarus died and with the destruction of Jerusalem by the Romans that Jesus saw would come to pass. He wept over the city, saying, verse 42, look what he says as he's crying, would that you, Jerusalem, where God dwelt, the capital of the city of his people, would that even you had known on this day the things that make for peace. Jesus came to bring peace to Israel. Instead, they chose wrath. He came for peace. They rejected Jesus, turned to the devil, rejected the Father. Instead of peace, wrath. But now they are hidden from your eyes. What is? Things that make for peace. They are hidden from your eyes. God has hidden his face. Verse 43, and he's crying, for the days will come upon you when your enemies will set up a barricade around you and surround you and hem you in on every side. The enemies will come when God withdraws, because they have abandoned God and chosen the devil as their father. The enemies come. Is God saying, yeah, serves you right, you're going to get it now? He's crying. Verse 44, they'll hem you in. Verse 44, and tear you down to the ground. Your enemies will, not me. They will tear you down to the ground, you and your children within you, and they will not leave one stone upon another in you, because you did not know the time of your visitation. The Prince of Peace had visited them, God the Son, who came to bring peace. They rejected him, and they've chosen wrath, and the enemies will come. Far from delivering a speech of vengeance, Jesus weeps on behalf of the Father. Look at the way Matthew talks about this same event. Matthew 23, 37 to 39. Look at the tenderness in the heart of Jesus, who manifests the Father, and how it's breaking his heart what's about to happen. In the Old Testament, it was a bit formula, a little bit too textbook. Here Jesus is saying God's reluctant, as he's going to say here, and he's crying. But Israel made their choice. Matthew 23, 37 to 39, English Standard Version. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to you. You sent all the prophets, you rejected them all, you stoned them, and now you're going to kill me. God worked with them for so long, rejected his messengers, rejected his prophets, and now they've rejected the Son. How often would I have gathered your children together? Protection. I wanted to protect you. How often I've gathered your children together, as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. Where's the anger here, guys? Where's the aggression here, guys? Jesus is weeping like a mother hen with her little chicks. She wants to gather you under her wings and protect you, but you were not willing. God was willing. You were not willing. You abandoned me again and again and again. I sent all the prophets. I sent my Son, and now you're going to kill him. You've turned over to the Father, the devil. And Jesus is crying as he says this. Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, they're going to come and destroy you. I've tried to protect you, but you've chosen wrath instead of peace. This is the wrath of God, according to Jesus. But you were not willing. Now look at verse 38. See, your house is left you desolate. The house is the temple in Jerusalem. You will read that in Matthew 21, 12 and 13. Read it. And he said, my house shall not be called a house of prayer, but you make it a den of robbers. This was the temple when you overturn the tables, yeah? My house is the temple. And he says, see, your house is left you desolate. He's talking about the temple in Jerusalem is going to be smashed. Jesus is approaching his crucifixion, and he says, because you have rejected the Prince of Peace, you have rejected the things that is peaceful for you, because you have not seen the visitation of the Prince of Peace. You have sold out to the devil. Your house, your temple now will be left desolate to you. Look at verse 38 of chapter 23 and keep reading into chapter 24. How is the house going to be left desolate? 23, 38, 2, 24, 2, English Standard Version. Look, how will the house be desolate? See, your house is left to you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until the day you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, until the day you accept me. Verse 1, which is the next verse, there's no chapter and verse in the Greek. Your house has left you desolate. Verse 1, Jesus left the temple. The Shekinah glory of God that was in the temple is now desolate. It's empty. It's been abandoned. And Jesus prophetically left the temple to demonstrate divine withdrawal. And then look what he says straight away about what will happen to the temple that's now been left desolate as Jesus left it for rejecting him. Verse 1, Jesus left the temple and was going away when his disciples came to point out to him the buildings of the temple. You said your house has left you desolate. Jesus leaves the temple. And then they say, hey, Lord, this is the temple you were just talking about. Verse 2, he answered them, do you see all these buildings of the temple? Truly I say to you, there will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down. Let's bring it together. Jesus speaks of the wrath of God in the Synoptics once only. It's in connection with 70 AD. With Rome coming to invade. Why? They had abandoned God. They were planning to kill Jesus. They killed all the prophets. Now they're going to kill the Son of God himself. And Jesus is crying. And he said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how I want to gather you and protect you. But you didn't want peace. You chose wrath. Your house has left you desolate. And now we have divine withdrawal. And the Roman armies come and smash the temple. The blueprint of Deuteronomy 31 is fulfilled point for point. And God weeps. Far from being attacking and aggressive, God weeps because he will respect human free will. You were not willing. Thy will be done. We'll pick it up again with the book of Revelation and how the wrath of God works there. God bless you.